I never thought I would be the guy sharing his misery on the internet, but here I am, sitting in a half-empty house, trying to make sense of how my life fell apart. If you had asked me a year ago, I would have told you my wife, Jessica, was the most faithful, honest person I had ever met. But now, I can barely look at her without feeling like my entire marriage was nothing more than a cruel joke. We were together for 8 years. 8 years of what I thought was a solid marriage. Sure, we had our disagreements, the usual spats over bills, house chores, or the way she would drop a ridiculous amount of money on clothes while telling me we needed to tighten our budget. But never in my worst nightmares did I imagine I would find myself standing in a church, watching her make out with a priest. Jessica always had this way of talking, soft-spoken, gentle, with just enough innocence in her tone to make people believe every word she said. She could probably convince a man stranded in the desert that water was bad for him. And for a long time, I was that fool. I swallowed her stories without question, trusted her completely. That was my mistake. It started about 6 months ago when she suddenly found religion. Now, let me be clear. I have nothing against faith. I grew up in a family that went to church on Christmas and Easter, said grace on Thanksgiving, that sort of thing. But Jessica? She was never interested in that. She used to roll her eyes at people who quoted scripture, calling them brainwashed or fanatics. Then, out of nowhere, she could not stop talking about Pastor David. Pastor David's sermons are so moving. He really understands people. She gushed over dinner one night. Or, Pastor David has given me so much clarity. I finally feel like I am where I belong. At first, I thought she was just going through some personal transformation. People change, right? Maybe she found comfort in faith, and honestly, I was happy for her. If church gave her peace, who was I to judge? But then, things started feeling off. For starters, she started dressing up more than usual. Not just putting on a nice dress for Sunday service. I'm talking new outfits, high heels, perfume that was way too expensive for casual Bible study, and bright red lipstick. Who wears red lipstick to a prayer group? Then she started staying late after church. It started small, an hour or two of volunteering here and there. It became whole evenings. One night, she walked in at almost midnight, looking completely rattled. "Jessica," I said, crossing my arms, "how much volunteer work can you possibly do in a church?" She let out an exaggerated sigh, like I was some annoying child. "You do not get it, Mark. Pastor David is trying to create a more welcoming environment. There's a lot to do." "Yeah, I bet there was." Then came a phone thing. Jessica used to be pretty relaxed with her phone, left it on the couch, sometimes asked me to check her messages if she was cooking. But suddenly, that phone was always in her hand. The password was changed. And when I asked about it, "Oh my God, Mark, do you not trust me? Am I not allowed to have privacy anymore?" That was the first time she ever turned a situation on me. And I remember thinking, why is she so defensive? Then, of course, there was the bedroom situation, or should I say, the lack of a bedroom situation. We used to be solid in that department. Then, all of a sudden, she was always too tired, too stressed, or on some spiritual journey that did not include me. When I asked her about it, she just shook her head like I was the problem. Sex is not everything, Mark. Maybe if you focused on your own spiritual growth, you would not be so obsessed with it. That was when I knew. I had ignored my gut for too long. I wanted to believe that she was just going through something, that I was being paranoid. But last week, I found out the truth. And I was not paranoid. Jessica was cheating on me, with a pastor. And when I tell you I lost it, I mean I lost it. It all started last Friday. She left for one of her late-night church meetings. And I sat there, staring at the door long after it shut behind her, feeling that familiar, gnawing sensation in my gut. That instinct that something was wrong. So, I did something I never thought I would do. I followed her. Now, before you judge, let me remind you, I had every reason to be suspicious. And nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to see. She was not even careful. I parked a little down the street from the church, keeping my headlights off as I watched her walk in through the side entrance. High heels, tight dress, looking like she was heading for a date, not a volunteer session. At 10 o'clock at night, I sat there, gripping the wheel, telling myself I was overreacting. Maybe she really was just helping. Maybe I was imagining things. Then, through the dimly lit church window, I saw them. Jessica and Pastor David, standing close, too close, near the altar. At first, I told myself they were just talking, maybe even praying. Then she put her hand on his chest. Then he put his hands on her waist. And then, God help me, I watched my wife kiss a pastor. In a damn church. It felt like a fist slammed into my gut. I just sat there, gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white, watching my entire life come crashing down. I could have left, could have driven away, and figured out my next move. But no, I was not about to sit there like a fool while my wife made out with a man of God. I got out of my car, slamming the door shut so hard it echoed down the street. My entire body was shaking as I marched up to the church doors and shoved them open. The sound of the doors slamming against the walls was enough to send them jumping apart like guilty teenagers. Jessica gasped, her face draining of color. Pastor David took a step back, his hands still half raised like he was about to pull her in again. I took a slow, deep breath, barely able to keep my voice steady. What the hell is this? I growled, my voice bouncing off the church walls. Jessica's expression was something I had never seen before, a mix of guilt, fear, and annoyance. Like I was ruining her night. "Mark, what are you doing here?" she snapped, crossing her arms like she had the right to be mad. I could not even answer. I just turned to the man who had been giving my wife more than just spiritual guidance. I narrowed my eyes. "Well, Pastor, is this what spreading the word of God looks like?" He swallowed, rubbing the back of his neck like some nervous teenager caught sneaking out past curfew. "Mark, I think we should all calm down." "Oh, hell no." I turned back to Jessica, who had the nerve to roll her eyes at me. "You are acting crazy," she said, like I was the unreasonable one. "It is not what it looks like." I actually laughed. "Not what it looks like." "Oh, really? So what exactly am I looking at, Jessica?" She scoffed, flipping her hair over her shoulder like she was not standing in a church with another man. And that was when I realized she was not sorry. She was just mad that I found out. And that was all I needed to walk away. Something inside me broke. Not in the way you expect, not some dramatic, heartbreaking moment of devastation. No, this was something colder, something sharper, like a switch flipping. I did not yell. I did not throw anything. I just turned on my heel and walked away, fists clenched so tight my nails dug into my palms. My hand was shaking so badly I could barely pull my keys from my pocket. Behind me, I heard her voice, her infuriating voice. "Oh my God, Mark, stop being so childish. Can we at least talk about this?" I did not stop, did not turn around, did not give her a single damn word. I got into my car, slammed the door shut, and sped off, my mind a tornado of anger, disbelief, and the sinking realization that my marriage, the life I had built, was already over. Jessica? She was dead to me. I wish I could tell you I went home, had a stiff drink, got some sleep, and handled the situation like a mature, rational adult. But let's be real. Rational went out the window the moment I saw my wife locking lips with a pastor in a damn church. I do not remember half the drive home. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel, my heart slamming against my ribs, my thoughts racing so fast I could not catch a single one. I felt like I was on fire, like my entire body was rejecting reality. The second I walked into my house, I slammed the door behind me so hard the walls shook. And then I just stood there, stood in the middle of the living room, hands on my hips, staring at nothing, try to wrap my head around what the hell had just happened. This was not real. This could not be real. And then, right on cue, my phone started buzzing. Jessica. I ignored it. She called again and again. By the fifth call, I was so close to hurling my phone across the room, but instead, I just let out a bitter laugh. Now she wanted to talk? Now she cared? After about 10 minutes, the call stopped. Then came the text. "Mark, come on. You're being insane. Just come back so we can talk like adults." Like adults, right? Because adults sneak around behind their husband's back and stick their tongues down a pastor's throat before playing the victim. I tossed my phone onto the couch and started pacing, running over every little red flag I had ignored. Every late night, every changed password, every time she looked me in the eyes and lied. I should have seen it. Hell, I did see it. I just did not want to believe it. And the worst part? The absolute worst part? It was not just Jessica I lost that night. It was everything I thought was real. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of pounding on my front door. Loud, insistent, relentless. I did not even need to check. I already knew who it was. I dragged myself out of bed, still running on pure rage and caffeine, and yanked the door open. And there she was, Jessica, standing on my porch, arms crossed, annoyed. Not guilty, not remorseful, annoyed. She pushed past me like she still had the right to walk into my house. Jesus, Mark, she huffed. I thought you were dead or something. I did not even look at her. Just shut the door behind her and took a deep breath. What do you want? She turned, arms still crossed, like she was the one who had been wronged. To talk, like mature adults. I let out a short, bitter laugh. Mature? That is rich coming from the woman screwing a pastor behind my back. She groaned, actually groaned, like I was being unreasonable. Oh my God, you are making this into some huge thing. I held up a hand, cutting her off. Jessica, I caught you. In the church. With your little spiritual guide. What part of this is not a huge thing? She rolled her eyes so hard I thought they might roll right out of her damn head. We did not even sleep together, Mark. I let out a slow breath, my hand shaking. You expect me to believe that? She flipped her hair over her shoulder. Classic Jessica move. I am telling the truth, she said, voice dripping with fake innocence. We had just been talking, connecting on a deeper level. Emotionally, I stared at her like she had just told me she had invented fire. So, let me get this straight. You dressed up, snuck out late at night, kissed a pastor, and I'm supposed to believe this was just about feelings. She let out this frustrated sigh, like I was making things harder than they needed to be. You always do this, she muttered. You blow things out of proportion and make everything about you. I actually felt my jaw drop. Make everything. Jessica, you cheated on me. And then, get this, she laughed. Like I had just told her the dumbest joke in the world. Oh, please, she scoffed. Tossed her hands up. If you were actually a good husband, maybe I would not have needed someone else to talk to. That was it. That was the moment I knew. She was not sorry. She was not ashamed. She was not even embarrassed. She meant it. She believed it. And that was when I realized Jessica was not just a liar. She was a narcissist. She could have walked in here crying, could have begged for forgiveness, could have pretended to feel bad. But instead, she stood in my living room and blamed me. I took a slow breath, forcing myself to stay calm. You need to leave. She blinked. Excuse me. I said, you need to leave. I repeated, my voice cold. This conversation is over. Her face twisted in disbelief. Mark, you are being insane. No, I'm being done. I walked to the front door, yanked it open, and gestured for her to get out. For a second, she just stood there, staring at me like she could not believe I was actually kicking her out. Like she expected me to fold, to break down, to beg her to stay. And when she realized I was not going to, she laughed. Not a nervous laugh, not a guilty laugh, a mocking laugh. You are so pathetic, she sneered, shaking her head. You will never find anyone better than me. I smirked. That is the first thing you have ever said that actually made me feel better. Her nostrils flared, her jaw clenched, but she had nothing left to say. She turned, stomped back to her car, and sped off. And I stood there, watching her disappear. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. I did not say a word. I just stood there, watching as she drove away, leaving behind nothing but the lingering scent of her overpriced perfume and the absolute wreckage of our marriage. I closed the door, locked it, and leaned against it, exhaling slow and deep. And for the first time in months, I felt relief. I was not sad. I was not heartbroken. I was free. You would think that would be the end of it, right? That after getting caught red-handed making out with a pastor, my lovely wife would just sign the divorce papers and gracefully disappear from my life? Nope. Jessica was not just a liar. She was a performer. And her next act? Making me the villain. 2 days after I kicked her out, my phone started blowing up. Hey man, just checking in. You good? Dude, I heard some crazy stuff. Can we talk? Mark, I had no idea you were struggling. If you ever need to talk, let me know. At first, I had no clue what they were talking about. I figured maybe someone had seen her storming out of my house the other night and put two and two together. But then my sister texted me. What the hell is Jessica saying about you? I called her immediately. What are you talking about? She let out a long sigh. Mark, she's telling people that you were emotionally abusive for years, that you were controlling, that she turned to God because she did not feel safe with you. I actually had to sit down. My head was spinning. You're joking. I wish I was, she muttered. She's playing the heartbroken, misunderstood wife all over town. Now, let me be clear. I never laid a hand on Jessica. I never controlled her. Hell, if anything, I gave her too much freedom and trusted her too much. But somehow, in her twisted revisionist history, I had magically become the overbearing husband who pushed her into another man's arms. And the worst part? People believed her. I was not about to let her destroy my reputation just because she got caught. So, I started reaching out. Friends, coworkers, anyone who might have heard her version of events. Some of them already knew the truth. They had seen her sudden religious obsession and thought something felt off. Others? Not so much. One of my so-called buddies, Jake, sounded hesitant when I called him. Look, man, I did not want to pick sides. I sighed. Jake, just be honest with me. What exactly did she say? He hesitated. Then, finally, she said you were paranoid, that you accused her of cheating when she was just trying to find herself, that you were jealous of Pastor Greg because he was helping her grow as a person. I almost threw my phone across the room. Helping her grow? I repeated, gripping the phone so tight my knuckles went white. Jake, I caught them kissing. In the church. Oh, I echoed, voice cold. That's all you have to say? He let out a slow breath. Man, I don't know. It's just, Jessica is really convincing, you know? Yeah, I knew. But I was not about to let her rewrite history. I hate drama. I really do. But Jessica was out here, playing Saint Mary, making me look like the villain, while she paraded around town as the wounded, God-fearing woman betrayed by her cruel husband. So, I did what I had to do. I went on Facebook, and I set the record straight. Since there seems to be some confusion, let me clear the air. Jessica and I are getting divorced because she had an affair with our local pastor. I caught them in the act, in the church, and she admitted to it. Any other version of this story is a lie. Thanks for your concern. Short, simple, brutal, and within minutes, the entire town was talking. Some people were shocked. Others, not so much. Turns out, I was not the only one who thought Jessica's spiritual awakening was fishy. And then, she called me. The second I picked up, she screamed into the phone. What the hell is wrong with you? I held the phone away from my ear. Oh, so now you want to talk? You are ruining my reputation, she shrieked. Do you have any idea how this makes me look? I actually laughed. Oh, I know exactly how it makes you look, Jessica. The problem is, you do not like that people finally know the truth. She was breathing so hard I thought she might pass out. You were being vindictive. I knew you would do this. You always had to make yourself the victim. Oh, you mean like how you've been playing the victim all week? I shot back, telling people I was some controlling husband who forced you to cheat. That is not what I said, she snapped. I sighed. Jessica, we are done. You are a liar. You are a cheater. And the only reason you are mad is because you did not get to control the story this time. Silence. For the first time in days, she had nothing to say. And then, finally, she let out this fake, shaky sigh, like she was so exhausted from dealing with me. I hope you know you are making a huge mistake. I smiled. I hope you know you are a joke. And then I hung up. After my public service announcement, I thought that would be the end of it. That Jessica would slink away, Pastor Greg would lay low, and I could finally start moving on. Oh, how wrong I was. Because 2 days later, guess who showed up at my doorstep? Not Jessica. Pastor Greg. I had just gotten home from work, still running on fumes from all the chaos, when I heard a knock at the door. I opened it, expecting maybe my sister or a neighbor checking in. Instead, there he was, standing on my porch like a guilty teenager caught sneaking in past curfew. I stared at him deadpan. You have 5 seconds to explain why the hell you are here before I slam this door in your face. He shifted uncomfortably, wringing his hands. Mark, please. I need to talk to you. Oh, now he wanted to talk. I folded my arms. Funny. You had plenty to say when you were giving my wife spiritual guidance. What? No sermon prepared for me. He sighed, rubbing his face like he was the real victim here. I made a mistake. I blinked. No, a mistake is forgetting someone's birthday. What you did, that was a decision. He flinched. Good, Tom, she said, her voice soft now, the sharp edge gone. She stepped closer, her eyes wide, and pleading like she thought she could just switch back into the role of the devoted wife. I miss you. I miss us. I did not move. I did not react. Because I knew this game. I had seen her play it before. This was manipulation, plain and simple. I was just lost, she continued, like she was searching for the right words to make me break. I needed something to believe in. And Michael was just a convenient excuse. I finished for her. You are not sorry, Emily. You were just mad you got caught. Her face changed in an instant. That sweet, regretful act dropped, and the real Emily showed through. Her eyes narrowed, her lips curled in frustration, and I saw that familiar, angry fire behind them. She hated that I was not falling for it. You are making a huge mistake, Tom, she spat, her voice laced with venom. I smirked. No, the mistake was ever trusting you in the first place. She sucked in a sharp breath, her face twisting with fury. And then, just like that, she flipped again. Fine, she snapped, stepping back. Be alone. Be miserable. But do not come crawling back when you realize no one else will put up with you. I actually laughed. Trust me, Emily, the only thing I regret is not kicking you out sooner. She glared at me, her jaw clenched so tight I thought she might actually break a tooth. I could see it in her eyes. She wanted to scream, to lash out, to make me feel as small as she did in that moment. But there was nothing left for her to cling to. She had played every card, and she had lost. I watched as she turned on her heel, stormed back to her car, and slammed the door shut. Her tires screeched against the pavement as she sped off down the street, disappearing into the night. And when the sound of her car finally faded, I closed the door, locked it, and stood there in the quiet. It was over, really over. And for the first time in a long, long time, I felt free. It has been a few weeks since that final showdown, and honestly, I have never felt better. No more creeping suspicions, no more late-night anxiety, no more dealing with her condescending smirks, her manipulation, her never-ending excuses. Just peace. At first, I thought I would feel empty without her. I mean, 8 years is a long time to just throw away, right? But you know what I realized? I was not mourning her. I was mourning the version of her that I thought existed, the woman I wanted her to be. Jessica was not that woman. She never was. And the moment I let go of that illusion, everything got easier. As for her little church scandal, well, turns out her grand affair did not exactly have a happy ending. The church fired Pastor Greg, and last I heard, his wife, oh yeah, did I mention he was married too? Left him and took their kids. I cannot say I feel bad for him. Actions have consequences, and he is finally getting his. And Jessica? Well, she tried to keep her head up, tried to pretend none of this bothered her. But the truth has a funny way of spreading. People talk, and the more they talked, the harder it became for her to keep playing the victim. Eventually, she left town. Some say she moved in with a friend in another city. Others say she is finding herself again. Honestly, I do not care. She is not my problem anymore. I have been focusing on myself, hitting the gym, spending time with friends I had drifted from, actually enjoying life without the constant weight of wondering whether my wife was lying to my face. I will not lie. There are moments where I catch myself thinking about her, about what could have been, but those moments are rare now. And when they do come, I remind myself of one simple truth. I did not lose anything. I won. I just stood there, watching as she disappeared down the street, the tail lights of her car fading into the distance. The wind carried the last traces of her perfume, but I did not feel a thing. No regret, no sadness, no second-guessing. It was over, really over. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. It has been a few weeks since Emily stormed off my porch, and I have to say, I have never felt better. No more creeping suspicions, no more late-night anxiety, no more dealing with her smug little smirks, her guilt trips, her manipulative games. Just peace. At first, I thought it would be harder. 8 years is a long time to just walk away from. But as the days passed, I realized something important. I was not mourning her. I was mourning the version of her that I had built up in my head. The wife I thought I had. The marriage I believed in. Emily was never that woman. She never was. And once I accepted that, everything got easier. So what happened to her? Well, turns out her grand affair did not exactly have the fairy tale ending she expected. Father Michael? Yeah, he did not get to ride off into the sunset with his new soulmate. The second the church got wind of what had happened, they sent him packing. From what I have heard, they reassigned him to some tiny parish in the middle of nowhere. No fancy sermons, no adoring congregation, just a lonely little church where nobody knows his name. And Emily? She tried to keep up the act, tried to spin the story so she would not be the villain. But you know what happens when people find out you've been creeping around with a married priest? They talk. The gossip spread like wildfire, and before long, the same people she used to hold court with at Bible study started looking at her like she was the devil herself. She lasted a few weeks before she finally stopped going to church altogether. Probably too embarrassed to face the whispers and side eyes every Sunday morning. And me? I moved on. I got my own place. Something small, something that was mine. No lingering ghosts of our relationship. No reminders of her scent in the sheets or her voice in the walls. Just a fresh start. At first, it felt strange. I kept expecting her to show up, to barge in with some dramatic speech, to start another fight. But day by day, the silence started feeling good. I went out more. Saw friends I had barely seen in years. Turns out Emily had a habit of isolating me, little by little, without me even realizing it. I hit the gym, started taking better care of myself. Focused on me for the first time in a long time. And you know what? I'm actually happy. Looking back, I can see all the red flags I ignored. The little moments when my gut was screaming at me that something was off, and I just brushed it aside because I wanted to believe in her. Because I thought she was different. Because I trusted her. So, if you're reading this and something in your relationship feels off, trust your instincts. If they start acting different, if they suddenly need privacy, if they start accusing you of being insecure for questioning them, you are not the crazy one. And if you catch them cheating, do not waste time waiting for an apology that will not come. Do not beg for an explanation that will just be another lie. Do not let them twist the truth until you start wondering if you're the bad guy. Just walk away. Because at the end of the day, the best revenge is not screaming or fighting or trying to make them feel bad. The best revenge is moving on. And trust me, nothing pisses off a narcissist more than knowing they do not matter anymore.